This is a friendly reminder that we are here for entertainment purposes only. Check with your healthcare professionals before making any lifestyle or medicine changes. What we're talking about is our clinical experience and what we've seen. You can consult me as a doctor, or you can consult my guest and get all of your questions answered, but we can help to educate you a bit and allow you to think a little differently. Again, always consult your medical professionals before making any lifestyle changes. Thank you.
All right. Hey, welcome back to Cast 11. I'm Megan McClenahan, and with me is Dr. Brian, the amazing doctor from Arizona Metabolic Health. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me back. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. I love it. I love it. I love getting to see my doctor when he comes in. He's a wonderful person.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
person.
Good to see you.
Yeah. How was your holiday?
Excellent.
Good.
Excellent. Very
Good.
good. Time with family
Good.
and
Yeah.
friends and
I love
staying
that.
active and getting out hiking and doing good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're jumping into the new year here. We're in January now, and we've got how about a new year, new metabolic you?
Yeah.
How would you
Yeah, this is the time. January is the time where people say, okay, I got to
Yeah.
make some changes. I
Yeah.
gained weight during the holidays. Either all my clothes shrunk or I gained weight. One of those two things, right? In the dryer. So it happens this time of year,
It does.
spending time with family and the
Yeah.
stressors of running
Yeah.
around the holidays and everything. And so New Year's resolutions come along and say, oh, what am I going to do? And, unfortunately, a lot of people get diagnosed with diabetes in January right after the holidays, just because you overwhelm your system with sugar and candy and all the sweets and all that kind of stuff and stress and not sleeping. All these things play a huge role in metabolic health. So now's the time to get under control because it's all reversible, which is great. That's the good news.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's just that it's reversible. My brain still is trying to grasp that. Still, because
I know
it's amazing.
It is incredible for people to think about.
Yeah.
But some simple changes. It's really education. Once we
Lifestyle.
learn and say, okay, this is what I have to do.
Yeah.
It's just like if someone has a bad golf swing, but they keep practicing it, they never get better.
Right.
But when they say, oh, hold this different, and someone knows what they're
Mhm.
talking about, and you can do that much better, with good monitoring and
Right.
support. All those things are
Right.
critical to
Right.
lifestyle change.
I love that. So, say I'm a new patient coming in and I say, Doc, I'm willing to do the footwork. I want you to be my doctor and I need help. I need help getting my diabetes under control. Like we were talking about, I ate too much junk over Christmas, everything. How can you help me?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, first thing we do is get a good lab panel, look at the thyroid, see if that's off. Really, a fasting insulin is critically underused in medicine. It's one of our biggest tools. People don't realize that type 2 diabetes, takes 18 years at least to develop. We have warning signs all along. So no one just wakes up one day in January with diabetes. It's that if they would have started looking at this stuff down in December and really looking at those big 5 things that we have control over, stress, being stressed and working too many hours. Number 2, not sleeping. Number 3, not exercising. Number 4, eating bad foods, and then smoking and alcohol. Right? So you go, out of those 5 things, what can I work on? And for me, at my old practice, I was stressed all the time and I wasn't sleeping. So right off the bat, I was 0 for 2 out of those 5. Think, oh man, I got to make changes, right? So that was part of the reason I left my old practice and came to a small town and have a smaller practice where it's manageable and you're not stressed and tense and you can't go look at the lake sometimes, play with your dogs, those kind of things. So yeah, January is a perfect time. That's my favorite patient. They come in, look, tell me what to do and I'll make those changes. But lifestyle change is hard, and so a lot of people will say, well, I'm not willing to give up soda or cookies. And it's like, it's going to be hard to manage your diabetes because it's an oversupply of sugar already. If you keep putting more sugar in the system, how do you get rid of it? All of our meds, including insulin, just shoves it into your tissues, right? Which causes all kinds of problems down the road. Weight gain, number one thing is insulin. Everyone gains weight when they go on insulin. And so the other medicine we use make you pee out more sugar. So you can eat more sugar and you pee out more sugar. Guess what? You have more urinary infections, there's tons of problems that come with that. And so that's not a very good solution, right? If you don't put the sugar in, you don't have to pee it out anymore. And that's the hard sell, but that's the truth. So there's a lot of things we can do that can
avoid that.
Yeah, avoid that for sure. And reverse the damage that's there.
Well, I have to say, I'm starting to think that New Year here is a great window for metabolic change.
It is because, a lot of us don't feel great. You feel bloated, your joints hurt,
Yeah.
mental fog, you're trying to get back on track after the holidays, get back into your routine. And so that's a perfect time to make those changes, to exercise,
Hmm.
to feel well again, because you know how it feels to feel poorly. And so
Right.
I always wonder how many people are walking around thinking, gosh, if they just tweaked some stuff, didn't
Make
eat
such a
French fries 4
change.
times a week, those kind of things, how much better
Yeah.
you feel with mental clarity. That's the big thing we don't talk about enough is with metabolic health. There was just a big paper that came on. They said one of the biggest predeterminers of dementia is lack of social contact, lack of engagement with people, just being solitary.
Really?
Huge increase. They say 47% increase. And along those lines, they say poor metabolic health, obesity, hypertension, diabetes, all contribute to dementia. So we're really starting to learn. People don't realize this, but we went 50 years down the wrong track in medicine. There were fraudulent studies on these plaques in the brain. So for 50 years, we've been working on medicines to decrease the plaques, and they decreased the plaques, but it made no difference in the dementia. So it wasn't the plaques, they were just a bystander. And so now they're realizing it's brain function, mitochondrial function in the brain, these little energy, getting the right fuel to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're finding with metabolic health. Taking out the sugar, your brain could run better on ketones, and you have mental clarity and feel better and are more focused. And so it's amazing. When we first started doing this medicine, I was trying to reverse diabetes, which we were.
Right.
But the biggest thing is people would come in and say, my mood got so much better. I don't argue with people. I'm easier to get along with. I'm not as frustrated. I sleep better. And so all those things play a role in life.
That's crazy.
Excuse me.
Crazy. So what are some of the key biomarkers that are worth checking? Say you're going into like the new year here in your metabolic health.
Yeah, the biggest one's really hemoglobin A1C, which is a 3-month sugar average. It tells us how high your sugar's been for the past 3 months. Fasting insulin level, those are critical. High insulin is the biggest risk factor for heart attacks and strokes, dementia, diabetes, you name it. But no one checks it because it's not popular in medicine yet, because it's kind of new and people haven't really thought about it too much. But insulin resistance, that's telling you all your cells are full. Insulin, and your pancreas is trying to make more and more insulin to shove it in there, and the cells are like, look, we can't take anymore, the fat cells, right? So checking a fasting insulin, a lipid panel, if triglycerides are really high, HDL is really low, those are huge risk factors for cardiovascular disease.
Jeez.
Everyone talks about LDL, but LDL by itself doesn't mean a lot. It's where it's sitting. If it's sitting in a high sugar, high inflammatory state, it becomes small dense LDL, which is dangerous. But the big fluffy one, no association with cardiac risk. So these are things we have to learn and educate people on. There's lab tests we can differentiate whether it's a healthy LDL or a bad LDL. But a lot of it we can tell just by a simple lipid panel. And of course, checking the thyroid and just blood counts and make sure you're not anemic. And, there's a lot of stuff we check make sure it's just like checking your car, doing a checkup on your car to make sure everything's okay.
Your oil.
Yeah, make sure the oil's there. You make sure there's certain things we look at and say, oh, that shouldn't be like that. And so they're all very fixable, which is the good news.
That's crazy. What early signs of metabolic dysfunction do you see most often in your practice?
That's a great question. One of the big things that we see is skin tags, believe it or not.
Really?
Skin tags. If you have a lot of skin tags on your neck, under your arms, that's a sign of metabolic disease. And we have patients all the time who come in and want those frozen off. I say, look, if we work on your metabolic health, they'll fall off by themselves. You don't have to get tortured. And they just disappear over time. Wow. And there's also a lot of people get thickening of the skin or dark skin on their neck that you can see. And that's a sign of insulin resistance also. So these are just physical things we can see that you go, oh, wow, they're probably insulin resistant. But, weight gain is a huge one. Yeah. Mood fluctuations, hormonal type stuff. There's a lot that you can look and go, oh, this person's metabolically ill. And one of the big ones is having a big belly and skinny arms and legs, because it's all visceral fat. That's the dangerous fat that's on the inside. The subcutaneous fat, the love handles, the stuff we want to get rid of, that's really not the dangerous stuff. It's really the stuff it's the second storage unit that's really bad. And that's visceral fat. And that's what causes increased inflammation, that causes our joints to hurt, arthritis. There's a lot of data on that. And these high sugars, also people don't realize this, they can go into the joints and cause like sandpaper inside the joints, making arthritis worse.
Wow.
So when people lower their sugars down, that's what, when we check for a 3-month sugar average,
Mm-hmm.
really it's the sugar that sticks to the red blood cells. And we could tell by the life of the red blood cells how high the sugars have been for the last 3 months. But it doesn't just stick there. It sticks everywhere in our body, on tendons and ligaments and joints.
It's gotta be so painful.
So arthritis, inflammation, back pain.
Oh, that just sounds painful.
It is.
Like really painful. Could you imagine the sandpaper in between all your joints and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. Oh, that made me kind of go, ow. Makes me not want to ever eat sugar or anything like that.
Well, when you're healthy, you can get away with a lot of those things. But as we get older, we're not as good at getting rid of that. We fill up all our storage units. Basically, we're like, okay, where do I put this stuff?
Yeah.
And so that's when we start getting in trouble. The
crazy.
young kids could get away with a lot more than us seniors.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. What are some of the pillars of metabolic health for New Year?
What are the pillars of metabolic
Yeah.
health? The pillars really, the really red flags for us: high blood pressure, a larger belly, high sugars. These are all like metabolic by definition what poor metabolic health is. And with that, the mitochondria stop working. So people have more mental fog, mood issues going on. And these are all very reversible. And having high triglycerides, low HDL, good cholesterol, the good cholesterol is low. That's a big red flag also. But really looking at the markers, we can look at high insulin levels, another marker we look at for poor metabolic health. Having a low insulin decreases all-cause mortality, chance of dementia, all those things, if you have normal sugars.
Right. What about like stress and hormones?
Stress and hormones, well, they play a role on each other, really. If your hormones are off, you get more stressed. And if you're more stressed, your hormones get off. And then sugars go up, cortisol goes up. You can lose muscle mass from increased stress. There's a lot of data coming out. There's a great time for medicine. We're learning a lot about how stress affects us. Independent risk for heart attack is being under stress all the time.
Yeah.
So being able to relax and take things easy
Super
makes a
important.
big difference.
Super important. Then with like your sleep, your movement, like you were talking about, your exercise. Yeah, a lot of that. So then do you help your patients create like a really good personalized metabolic plan then, say going into a new year?
That's exactly what we do. We can have a couple and they can be on different plans. If you're diabetic, you eat one Bratch's chocolate and your sugars go to 400. And other people can have it does hardly anything because they're think of it as storage units. If your storage units are all full, you can't go shopping.
Right.
You have nowhere to put the stuff. Some people, their storage units are half empty because they're active, they're watching their stress, they're getting their sleep. So they can get away. All of us say that. I was like, my friend eats all that stuff and they're skinny. And you go, well, they're metabolically healthy. They can get away with it better. So it really is individualized. How much do you exercise? How big is your stress? Are you sleeping? Are you tense all the time? All those things make a huge difference in outcomes for sure.
Right. One other question I had. So along with like the whole fitness part, then so along with doing the personalized plan for the metabolic stuff for your patients, then do you help them, like say they're not sure what exercises they should be doing? Is that something that you help them maybe focus on a little bit too?
Yeah, I have a lot of great resources. I have physical therapists who understand this. There's a guy named Ben Bakikio I work with he's down in the Valley, and he worked out with Jack LaLanne. He's one of the nicest guys in his late 70s now, but he has an exercise program that it's a 15-minute weight-bearing exercise for seniors.
Nice.
And it's unreal how much improvement. Now, people can put on muscle mass in their 80s still.
Really?
Yeah. We always think, well, you get old and you lose muscle, but visceral fat, the fat around the organs, the bad stuff, inhibits muscle mass, and muscle inhibits visceral fat. So the more muscle you have, the less visceral fat you'll have, less likely to have diabetes. One of the biggest indicators for longevity is muscle mass.
That's crazy.
So people with more muscle live longer because muscle is very metabolically healthy tissue and active tissue. So if you eat some extra sugar, it goes to your muscle. Who cares? That will just be burned off next time you go for a walk or a hike. And so people don't realize the importance. And it's hard once you have a bunch of visceral fat. You can think of that as like a snowman. If you have to melt that whole snowman and you have no muscle, you're using a little match to melt a snowman. It's going to take you forever. But some people just have a little visceral fat, like a baseball size, and they have a blowtorch, and that will melt it very quick. So that's how they can get away with a lot more because they're active and they're taking care of themselves. And, it's easier to take care of it before you have diabetes and all that. So these are things that we're all learning is that we can prevent it for sure. If we can reverse it, we can prevent it.
That's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. I love that. So I'm not sure how I want to word it. Okay, so say that you've got like a husband and wife that want to come in and they want to do the same thing and do the same kind of plan with you. How would that work?
Yeah, we have so many, I do a lot of primary care, right?
Right.
But for me, it's great because if I have a couple come in, I can educate them both at the same time. And then we can spend time individually talking about their unique needs once we get our labs back. But it's great because one of the biggest indicator of success with lifestyle change, number one, family support. If you have poor family support, like if you're trying to lose weight and they bring you pizza home every night, we all need to be on the same page, right? Because you're going to have, that's your weakness. Just like if you're an alcoholic, if they're drinking at your house every night, it's just a matter of time until you have a drink. Yeah. And so that's a huge one. And also stress management, right? So it's stressful if you're doing it by yourself. So when people have a community, that's why I have group meetings with my patients every other Wednesday. And so people who have been successful can help the new people who are just starting out. So it works perfect. And everyone's so supportive and wants to help because they want other people to feel well too. So it's such a great community. So having that support is huge. Yeah, ongoing support. So we have the continuous glucose monitor for people who need it, and we can see their sugars and review it and say, oh, look at that. And a lot of times I find the patient realizes themselves, that's not good. That's not good when my sugar goes to 400. And they say, if I have this, it goes like this. It's flat. They feel better, and they go, okay, I can make that decision. So it's not my opinion. It's
it's what they're seeing.
Yeah,
happen.
You see it, and when you see it, think, I'm going to change that.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's wonderful. So then does your whole group of clients, then they interact? How does that work?
Well, not everyone. Some people don't go to the meetings that we do. It's just open to whoever wants to come. So anyone who's my patient is invited to come, and they can, listen to people who, for instance, someone will say, well, like last night we had one and someone said, well, I have so much cravings when I get home from work at night. Like, what do I do? And someone said, I used to do that, but here's what I do now. I go for a little walk and, visit the neighbors. And by that time I get back, dinner's ready and I don't have to snack and eat chips and crackers and all this stuff you were doing, have a drink. And so, dealing with stress, dealing with family, we had just like talking about the holidays. How do you recover from the holidays? And realizing, okay, you can't change what you did on Christmas and that, the last 3, but now you can just make those changes today. You can't feel bad. And, a lot of people say, well, I'll wait till after the Super Bowl, then I'll start. Then I'll wait till after, then it's going to be Valentine's Day. So then I'll do it. And then it's like Christmas again, right? It's like it flies by our years.
You're like, it's already a year.
So it's better just to take, just say, okay, I'm going to start now. I got work to do. Let's get to work. And that's great. Like you said, that's my favorite patient who comes in, someone who just got diagnosed with diabetes. And I can say, you know what, we can fix this. We can work together.
And they've got that openness and willingness and they're ready to put the footwork into it. Yeah.
Anyone interested, there's a movie I loved. I was part of it. It's called Fat Fiction. It's free. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. But what we did is we compared people on 2 different meal plans on the ADA's, American Diabetes Association, versus a low carb diet. And it's just, when you see the continuous glucose monitor and how the people are doing, it's remarkable. Wow. And again, they talk about mood improving, energy getting better, focus getting better. And that's what we all want. We want to be healthy and be able to go out and spend time with our grandkids. So one of the important things is when we change lifestyle too, is saying, why am I doing this? Yeah. Why? Because when everyone else is eating cookies, you realize, oh yeah, I don't want to have the extender seat on the airplane, or I want to be able to go on one of my kids that I'm seeing now, he wants to go to the Harry Potter ride at Disneyland or Universal Studios. Yeah. And he goes, I can't go on there right now. They won't let me on because it's too big. So he's like, I'll make it. And so he's motivated, and that's his motivation.
That's wonderful.
And so whatever it is, just being able to go on the ground with your grandkids and be able to get back up. One of my patients, she lays on the ground and gets up every day just to prove to herself she can do it, right? So, because before she couldn't, and you don't think it, and that's a huge thing. Some people, if they fall down, they can't get up, but they have to call 911 to get up, and so just to be able to stand up by yourself is a huge thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, because I was a caregiver many years ago, and so if we can avoid getting to those scenarios just by eating right, exercising, keeping those stressors down, sleeping at night, it'll avoid some of those things from happening sooner.
Yeah, there was a study in the emergency room department, and they took people that were in the hospital for whatever reason, and they found that if they could get up by themselves from the chair without using their hands, that their chance of going on hospice was like 95% less than someone who needed full transport to get out of a chair. And so just being able to do that, to be able to walk on your own is huge. So many people would love to be able to walk again, and so there's ways that we can help with that. So it's great when you see someone who, I was just talking about her last night with someone. I had a patient that was 104, and like every year I would tell her to come in for a physical. She was like, I'm so busy, I don't have time for this. And she was so healthy, 104 years old. She was knitting, women's club. She was doing everything, and she ended up dying. Someone ran a red light and hit her she was a passenger in the car, and she died from her injuries. So you're like, gosh, how long would she have went? Because she was still, even though her vision was going and she was having some health problems, she was still doing things. She had stuff to do. So yeah, it definitely can be. It doesn't mean just because we're getting older, we have to be sitting in bed and not be able to engage and go hiking. And I see people out on the trails, they're in their 90s walking around and enjoying life. That's really inspiring.
I was going to say, that is inspirational.
Yeah.
Highly inspirational. Yeah, definitely. I'd love to be the 90-year-old.
Yeah. We all want to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to be fit when I'm 90.
They say no one wants to be 100 until they turn 99. Then they want to be 100. Yeah. Yeah, because, you want to, I mean, really, if your life's enjoyable and you can go and do things you want to do and engage with people, that's really critically important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other New Year's tips for our viewers?
I think the biggest thing is like start where you're at. You don't worry about how you got there, where you're at now, or what your neighbor thinks or your family thinks. At some point. You go, okay, look, I'm just going to try to make myself healthy. I have one of my favorite patients. She's about 80 now. She came to me about 4 years ago. She was overweight, diabetic, felt terrible, was having some mental, poor memory, brain fog type stuff. Mm-hmm. And her doctor goes, you're old, just enjoy the rest of your life type thing. So she flew in from Wyoming to San Diego. And I'm like, are you kidding me? She goes, no one will help me. Will you help me? I said, yeah, let's do it. Now it's so amazing. She's in her one piece, she's out cleaning the pool with her husband. She's doing stuff. She's traveling. She's fishing. She wants me to come out and do fly fishing with her in Wyoming. And it's like, she's amazing. And like everyone had given up on her.
She just needed that.
Yeah. She just needed that. And she feels great. And she's proud of her body and she feels good and she's strong and she's able to go do things. Like when it snows, she's not afraid of falling, losing her balance, all those kind of things. But to have independence and you go, she'll be independent for a long time. Yeah. So being a part of that is amazing.
That's super cool.
Yeah. She's at all my Zoom meetings. So anyone wants to meet her, come join and meet her. Yeah. She's fantastic.
I love that. So tell us your website one more time.
Arizona Metabolic Health.com.
I love that. Or if you don't go to the website, call our office, call Dr. Brian. He's still taking patients. I know you're going to fill up really quick and you're going to be at your capacity.
Yeah, my wife warned me. She goes, 400, that's it. I'm counting. But it's great. Yeah, she understands. I come from 2,400 patients. So I have 2,000 less patients in this practice than I had when I was in the standard care.
How do you juggle
So it's
that
amazing.
many?
But I love it because now I can research if you have something new coming in. Someone just came with migraines and we're looking at the effect of the gut microbiome on migraines and dementia. And there's so much data that we have time to sit there and discuss these studies, and it's fun. Because it gives you hope too. It's like, wow, there's studies showing that we can help migraines. You don't have to suffer all the time. Really interesting. A recent study was showing kids with seizure disorder. There's Johns Hopkins has done the research, and they put them on a ketogenic diet, and at least 60% improved, more than any medication, improved through cutting out processed food and sugars.
Wow.
And they found that after 2 years of a ketogenic diet, these kids can go on a regular diet and they don't have seizures, even though they're not in ketosis anymore. And so it was a really interesting discussion. The head of it's called the Charlie Foundation. And interestingly enough, there was a study they did with mice, and they had these mice, these mice all had seizures. They put these other mice on a ketogenic diet, and all they did was take their gut microbiome out and put it into the ones with seizures that were still eating regular food. Their seizures went away 100% of the mice. And you go, there's a lot we have to learn.
Wow.
So lifestyle and what you eat makes a big difference in how, inflammation of the brain and all these other things that we just don't understand why. But we see things that work, but sometimes it takes us a while to figure out exactly why it's working. But we are seeing huge benefits of just eating better, and sleeping better and being nicer to people. All these things they play a huge role in our health.
That's crazy. Do you have any seminars coming up? that our viewers can watch?
Yeah, we do. We're gonna have
or
some
be at?
in January.
Okay.
You know, we'll send you the links.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't finalized them yet,
Okay.
but Jen Best, who's doing a
Okay.
lot with cognitive health and attention deficit and depression,
Yeah.
anxiety, we team up a lot now because when we join forces, we see amazing benefits.
I believe that.
Yeah, it's amazing what we're seeing.
I believe that.
So she's actually doing a study down in Phoenix with a friend of mine who's helping reverse dementia and Parkinson's, and so
crazy.
they're going to be doing his nutrition and green and red light therapy, all those kind of things, hyperbaric oxygen, exercise, group classes, and her stuff to help retrain the brain and see.
Is this the guy that had like the Parkinson's
Yes.
patient that was he was treating?
Yeah,
he has a facility down in Phoenix.
Exactly,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. And so people
Okay.
a lot of them are on hospice when they get there, and they're ending up going back home, just getting the right nutrition and lifestyle. And it's amazing. I mean, being part of that is just amazing. And so we're working on getting some places up here who are engaged that way. Because if you give seniors healthy nutrition, engagement, all these things we know are a factor. If you just put it all together, it's just so exciting for the future. As we're getting older,
just to watch that would just just make your mind go, wow.
Yeah, it's both. It makes you say, wow, but then it makes you sad to say how many people are just staring at a wall somewhere that could be
treated,
engaging, or they could be telling you about their World War II experience or whatever, you know? And so, that's the exciting part, is that we can help people become unlocked, and Jen's done great work, and what Hal's doing down there. And, so we're going to, hopefully in the next couple of years, there's some things in the works about having a skilled facility, independent living, where we can help people go back home.
That is super cool.
It'll be something.
That's so exciting. That is so exciting. Well, we will put your updates on Signals then as soon as we get them, and you let me know when your next seminar will be. That way our viewers can come see you, register. We'll put stuff on links so they can get a hold of you.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in. It was great to have you here. And again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you want to get a hold of Dr. Brian, go to Arizona Metabolic Health and give him a call. Call the office. You'd be super lucky to have him as your physician for all your metabolic health care needs. And I guess we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'm Megan McClenahan. This is Dr. Brian, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.